So, before I forget, just a little video note for my long lost cousin Terry in Pittsburgh. So, I go to the archives here in Celje and I rap with Yuri, the cool dude, archivist, and Yugoslav. He was saying the best time of his life was his youth and childhood in Yugoslavia. So, smart guy, works in the archives too, of course. And the front desk lady, she was cool. She seemed to know her stuff. And then there was another lady, name sounded like Helga or something, Germanic sounding name, but basically, first thing, front desk lady told me, I guess the folk wisdom or the generalization is that like 5% of the population here were active Nazi collaborators, and half the town were Germans, ethnic Germans, or what do they call them, Styrians. Like Graz is the capital of Styria, or Steiermark, I guess the Austrians say. And this area was, I guess, it was Austro-Hungarian. It was ruled over by Austria. And the local nobles up on the hill, they have a castle which was blown up because the idiots stored ammunition in it, like all around Yugoslavia. But, who cares about those stupid nobles? Because they were oppressing, they were like Germanic, I guess. They were oppressing the native Slovenian peasants. And what else can I say? So the ethnic Germans, they were generally like the Polacks in Belarus. They were known to be collaborating, very generally speaking, with the fascists here during the war, and the Austro-Hungarian imperialists before that, I guess. And people would sort of get or take Styrian Germanic names to sort of like, try to tell the local rulers, hey, we're not Polacks, like don't oppress us, or, like don't screw us in the day-to-day maybe, or, when we have to interface with the state. But generally it looks like the family were, I took notes, and the lady whose name sounds like Helga, her guesses about our family names, it was like, we thought it was Sakrosek, and Yuri thought it was a Hungarian name at first, and he was like, oh yeah, that's not good. The Hunkies were basically Huns and fascists, I guess especially here, and there was a lot of migration back and forth, but basically if you're not from here and you came in here, a lot of times you were basically, an imperialist or a fascist or a sympathizer with that scum. Well, Helga lady basically said, well, no, they were probably like, I'll have to look at the book, I wrote it down, but it wasn't exactly Sakrosek, it was like Zagrochek or something like that. Zagra or Zasra. Let me get the notebook actually. Yeah, here. So, let's see, it was something. I wrote it down. We wrote it down. I wrote it down. Okay, that was the process. Here it is, yes. So she wrote it down in her funny Yugoslav writing, and then I transliterated it. So the father of my grandfather, was it? George Rasputnik. Oh, no. My great-great-grandfather, it looks like, I believe, if I have that right. Yeah, I think great-great-grandfather, I believe. I believe that's right. Yeah. He's listed in Family Finder, Family Search, whatever. James Sakrosek was their estimation of what the hell his name was. But according to Helga lady, who really seemed to know her linguistics and history here, it was more like Ivan, or if it was Germanized, Johann, either Zazroshek or Zagrošek, which is apparently very Slovenian. And anyway, my great-grandfather apparently was, when he ended up in the Pittsburgh area, whatever, Allentown, Allegheny, whatever it was, he was a butcher. Maybe he was a butcher here in Celje. He was born in Celje, I believe, if I remember what I wrote down correctly. So let's see here. I wrote it down here somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it'll be too distracting to look that up now. But basically, yeah, I believe my great-grandfather was a butcher. He was born in Loki, Celje, here, wherever that was. They're going to look it up. They'll tell me more in a week. And but his father, and he had taken his mother's name because the Austrian-Hungarian bastards were trying to kidnap him into the Austro-Hungarian Empire, just before 1900, according to my cousin Terry. And so he went from Zagrošek or Zakro, whatever it was, Zazrošek, yeah, to Raspodnik, or it's actually Razputnik. Yeah, so having to do with like roads and crossroads, whatever. Maybe related to Rasputnik, kind of Paruski, but so he took a fake name, an alias from his mother, Razputnik. So the authorities couldn't track him down, and then he hot-footed out of here, Celje in Slovenia, onto a boat, I guess, to Pennsylvania around 1900, like so many other Balkan Polacks, Slovenians did, to avoid the bastards in Vienna or Budapest kidnapping him and murdering him, maybe just like the bastards in Kiev are doing to the poor bastards in Ukraine, the gay liberal Nazis of the West. May they be, brutally killed by crazy Ukrainians or righteous communists. But anyway, so lady in the front said 5% here collaborated with the Nazis. The German bastards generally, were colonial masters, you could say. They collaborated with the Steiermark, the Styrian bastards in Austria, Arnold Schwarzenegger's peeps, next to Graz, where Hitler had a summer home. And what happened? They murdered 9% of the town here. I guess the Slovenians were like the Untermenschen. What else can one say? 5%, yeah, I think I mentioned collaborated. And the other thing is, yeah, like my great-grandmother, Maria, some version of her name, Proleshnik, she came from right around the Croatian border on the Slovenian side, right where Josip Broz Tito's mother also came from, around that same area. So, and then, so we're sort of like Titoist, by whatever, geography. And then at the end of the war, the comrades took the trash of Yugoslavia, like the Ustaše or the Slovenian Home Guard or the other scum collaborators with the Nazis, and they gunned them down into tank traps that the Nazis had probably had the Slovenian peasants construct. And then threw dirt over them and called it good. So they probably killed about, who knows for sure, we don't know. Wikipedia and the Nazis and the gay liberals cry and they say 15,000. Hopefully that's true, but it might have been fewer. Generally, Yuri said they tried not to kill the kids, but if you were 15 and older, good chance you were, more of a hardcore scumbag Nazi, so they killed you. And what else can I say? Yeah, there's a big population transfer, just like Belarus. They didn't murder 70% or 80% of the town like Yeshua's here. They murdered 9% of the town, apparently, and they don't know how many got deported by the scum to Austria, etc. Yeah, that's kind of lost to history, but a lot of people, the Germans fucked off. They went to Austria, and if you're a Nazi collaborator, you got shot and buried here. And then new people came in from all over Yugoslavia because there's like mining and power production here in Slovenia. So, the Slovenians are like the most together. They're the Belaruskis of former Yugoslavia. So people came here because it was like successful and they had their shit together and it's clean and etc. So so that's basically it. So people here, I guess Rasputnik is not an uncommon name. The other two names, who knows? Sadasek no is very uncommon. It's a honky name, Hungarian, but actually it was really just a Slovenian name, kind of some funkier pronunciation, but Slovenian. So they were Slovenian workers, maybe in the town. Half the town was fascist here in Celje, but and if you were like a townsperson, who knows? I don't know. I can't say exactly what your allegiances, etc., would have been. But what else can I say besides? So, but the whole, like today, like the people here, different population from what it was 140 years ago or 125 years ago. So, yep.